Hello and a very good evening. You're watching the news tonight on Rajya Sabha television with me, Frank Pereira. Here are the headlines. Prime Minister Narendra Modi lays foundation stone of AIIMS Bilaspur and IIT Una dedicates steel processing unit at Kandrori town in Kangra district. Vice President M. Venkaiah Naidu lays foundation stone for the development of inland waterway in Krishna River, dedicates 7 national highway projects in the state to the nation while laying the foundation stone for 6 new projects. Three JEM terrorists killed in an encounter in Jammu and Kashmir near the Srinagar airport today. BSF official martyred, 2 other BSF personnel and a policeman injured in an operation that lasted 10 hours. And the United States mourns Las Vegas shooting victims. Focus of police probe on suspect Stephen Paddock's motives. US investigators claim there is no Islamic State link in the attack. Well, 3 suicide attackers carrying a massive arsenal of guns and explosives broke into a border security force camp near the Srinagar airport before dawn today and opened fire, killing 1 soldier. All 3 terrorists were killed in an operation that lasted nearly 10 hours. Here are the details. A barrage of gunfire and explosions broke out in the wee hours at BSF's 182 Battalion camp near the high-security Srinagar International Airport. 3 terrorists in military fatigues breached 4 layers of security at the camp around 4 a.m., firing indiscriminately and throwing grenades. The soldiers retaliated immediately and shot down one of the attackers. A few hours into the exchange of fire, State Deputy Chief Minister Nirmal Singh came out to make a statement.
About 3, they came to the gate of BSF. They lobbed grenades. Ultimately, about 3 BSF Jawans, they have been injured. They are out of danger.
But the news got worse for the Indian side as an assistant sub-inspector of the BSF was killed in the exchange of fire.
सिविल एरिया जो है फ्रेंड्स कॉलोनी और गोगोलैंड के बीच से उन्होंने एंटर करने का कैंपस में प्रयास किया और उसको लड़का का फायर ओपन किया है तो एक तो उसमें इमीडिएट वहीं की वहीं जो है न्यूट्रलाइज हो गया. एसओस मैस में भी हमारे जो वहाँ पे स्टाफ थे उन्होंने बहुत ब्रेवरी से उनका जो है सामना किया और दूसरे को वहीं न्यूट्रलाइज किया. तीसरा एटम ब्लॉक के अंदर घुसा था, ऊपर की साइड चला गया. बहुत ही कोऑर्डिनेट वे में हमने उसको लोकेट कर और ये देख के कि कोई सिविल पॉपुलेशन आसपास है और कोई कोलेटरल डैमेज न करते हो उस तरीके से पूरा ऑपरेशन कंडक्ट किया, तीनों को न्यूट्रलाइज किया.
The one sub-inspector who was last, who could not be evacuated, he was killed. He succumbed to his injuries on way to hospital, and we are very offensive. Both the army and BSF, they are absolutely offensive. They will see to it that Pakistan militants are totally neutralized and they cannot penetrate now.
Pakistan-based terror group Jaish-e-Mohammad's Afzal Guru squad has claimed responsibility for the attack. Reports say the Jaish-e-Mohammed has sent over 24 suicide attackers of Fidayeen who crossed over to India through the Jammu sector in August. Reports also claim that the Home Ministry is extremely worried that terrorists were able to cut through multiple layers of security in the most protected area of Srinagar. The BSF camp is also close to the technical airport used by the armed forces and VIPs. Bureau Report, Rajya Sabha Television. Well, staying on with news from Kashmir, now an army Jawan was killed as Pakistani forces violated the ceasefire in Jammu and Kashmir's Poonch district. According to defense officials, the Pakistani army initiated unprovoked firing on Indian army posts in the Krishna Ghati sector at around 12:50 p.m. This happened at the time when security forces were neutralizing the terrorists who launched a brazen attack on a BSF camp in Srinagar early this morning. The Indian troops retaliated strongly and effectively to Pakistani firing. In the exchange of fire, Naik Mahindra Chemjung was grievously injured and succumbed to his injuries. 35-year-old Chemjung belonged to Nepal and is survived by his wife and a son. On Monday, 2 miners lost their lives and 12 other civilians were injured in cross-border shelling by Pakistan along the LOC in Poonch district.
In Poonch district of Jammu and Kashmir, In a separate incident, an infiltration bid has been foiled by security forces in the Kerala.
Moving on to other news now, Prime Minister Narendra Modi was on a day-long visit to Himachal Pradesh. On Tuesday, he laid the foundation stone of several development projects in the state, including the All India Institute of Medical Sciences in Bilaspur. He also addressed a rally in the district, kickstarting his party's campaign in the poll-bound state.
Prime Minister Narendra Modi kick-started the BJP's poll campaign in Himachal Pradesh on Tuesday. Addressing a rally in Bilaspur, he targeted the ruling Congress government in the state. Modi said the state government is on bail in an oblique reference to Chief Minister Veerbhadra Singh, who is embroiled in money laundering and disproportionate assets cases.
हिमाचल में जमानती सरकार चल रही है। ये जमानती सरकार है। तो मुझे कांग्रेस के लोग मिलने आए एक बार, ऐसे ही मेरी बात चली। मैंने कहा यार, ये आपके मुख्यमंत्री, उनका पूरा परिवार भ्रष्टाचार के मसले में जमानत पे बाहर है, आप सीएम बदलते क्यों नहीं है? बदलते क्यों नहीं है? बोले कैसे बदले? हमारी पूरी पार्टी जमानती है।
The Prime Minister laid the foundation stone for the All India Institute of Medical Sciences at Bilaspur and an Indian Institute of Information Technology at Salo in Una.
दूर दूर से लोग आते हैं। अगर उनको ट्रॉमा सेंटर की सुविधा मिल जाए, एम्स जैसी व्यवस्था मिल जाए, तो हिंदुस्तान के किसी भी कोने से आए हुए यात्री को भी ये हिमाचल की धरती उसको ठीक ठाक करके, उसका स्वास्थ्य अच्छा बना करके अब एम्स आने के बाद उसके घर लौटाएगी। और जब हिंदुस्तान से आने वाले को पता चलेगा कि हिमाचल में मेरी इतनी देखभाल होती है, तो यहां टूरिस्ट का भी आना मन करेगा।
Modi dedicated the steel processing plant at Khandrori in Kangra district via video conference from Bilaspur. He also announced that the centre is investing 15,000 crore rupees in 13 development projects in Himachal Pradesh. Bureau Report, Rajya Sabha TV.
Well, Vice President Venkaiah Naidu is on a two-day visit to Andhra Pradesh. On the first day, he laid the foundation stone of a national waterways development project on the Krishna River in Vijayawada. He also inaugurated several national highways projects in the state. Speaking at the event, Vice President Naidu emphasized the need for interlinking of rivers. He also said that learning one's mother tongue is crucial to be able to learn other languages. Vice President M. Venkaiah Naidu laid the foundation stone for an inland waterway in the Krishna River in Vijayawada, Andhra Pradesh. The inland waterway will connect Muktiala and Vijayawada in the capital region of Amravati. The Vice President also laid the foundation stone for 6 new national highway projects in the state, while dedicating 7 other national highway projects to the nation. Inaugurating the projects, Venkaiah Naidu emphasized the need for interlinking of rivers.
నదులన్నీ కలిపితే దేశం సుభిక్షమవుతుంది, నీటి సమస్య తీరుతుంది. నదులు రోజు రోజుకి నీరసించిపోతున్నాయి. నదులలో నీళ్లు లేవు, ఇసుక మాత్రం ఉంది. ఆ ఇసుక కూడా ఈ మధ్య ఏమైపోతుందో మీ అందరికీ బాగా తెలుసు, నేను ఎక్కువగా చెప్పాల్సిన అవసరం లేదు. అందుకని మనం నదుల్లో ఇసుకను కాపాడుకోవాల్సింది, నీళ్లను కాపాడుకోవాల్సింది, నదులను మురికిమయం చేయకుండా చూసుకోవడానికి అవసరం ఎంతో ఉంది. నదులు మనకి జీవాన్ని ఇచ్చేవి, నదులు మనకి ప్రాణవాయువు లాంటివి, నదులు మనకి తిండి పెట్టేవి, నదులు మనకి పచ్చదనాన్ని ఇచ్చేవి, నదులు మనకి సంస్కృతిని ఇచ్చేవి.
The program was attended by Road Transport and Highways Minister Nitin Gadkari, Governor ESL Narasimhan and Chief Minister N. Chandrababu Naidu, among others.
We have just doubled the length of National Highway in Andhra Pradesh. At present, the length of NH in Andhra Pradesh is 7,913 kilometers. And I am promising you, and Honorable Chief Minister, that in the road sector alone, we will invest more than 1 lakh crores for road construction in Andhra Pradesh.
Addressing the gathering, the Vice President also underscored the importance of learning one's mother tongue.
పరభాష ఎలాంటిదంటే కళ్ళద్దాలు లాంటిది. నీ కళ్ళుంటే కళ్ళద్దాలు పనిచేస్తాయి, నీ కళ్ళే లేకపోతే కళ్ళద్దాలతో ఉపయోగం ఉండదు. అందుకని అది ఇంగ్లీష్ కావచ్చు, హిందీ కావచ్చు, ఇంకొక భాష కావచ్చు, తెలుగు భాష బాగా వచ్చినప్పుడే ఆ భాషలో నువ్వు రాణించగలవు.
82-kilometer inland waterway between Muktiala and Vijayawada is the phase 1 of the National Waterway 4 under the Sagar Mala project and will be used mainly to transport cement and construction material for Amravati. Also provide connectivity to important tourist and pilgrimage spots by the river. Bureau Report, Rajya Sabha Television. President Ramnath Kovind has arrived in Djibouti on his first foreign visit. President Kovind is visiting Djibouti and Ethiopia in his first trip abroad since taking office. During his 4-day visit to the two African nations, President Kovind will meet his counterparts and discuss regional, bilateral and international issues. He is also likely to sign agreements on institutionalization of Foreign Office consultation and greater economic cooperation with Ethiopia. President Kovind's visit is the first by an Indian president to Ethiopia after 45 years. The last visit was by President V.V. Giri in 1972. President will also interact with the members of the Indian community in both countries. Well, the Supreme Court on Tuesday sought responses from the Centre and the Election Commission on a PIL challenging the recent amendments made to the law related to political funding. A 3-judge bench of the Apex Court issued the notice on a plea filed by NGO Association for Democratic Reforms. Senior lawyer Prashant Bhushan, who was appearing for the NGO, said that the amendment has removed the cap that barred corporates from donating more than 7.5% of their average net profit to a political party. He also said that the political parties can now take donations in the form of election bonds without disclosing the source. In March this year, the Lok Sabha had approved a proposal by the government as part of amendments to the Finance Bill 2017, relaxing conditions for corporate funding to political parties. Well, in other news now, the Karnataka government today said that the killers of Bengaluru journalist Gauri Lankesh have been identified. Home Minister Ramlinga Reddy was quoted as saying that disclosing more information could jeopardize the case. 55-year-old Lankesh was shot dead at her house in Bengaluru on September 5th. Security cameras recorded the murder suspect wearing a helmet as he shot her in the chest. The special investigation team has neither confirmed nor denied the Home Minister's claim. Well, Finance Minister Arun Jaitley on Tuesday arrived in Dhaka on a 3-day official visit to Bangladesh. Bangladesh Finance Minister A.M.A. Mohit received his Indian counterpart at the Hazrat Shah Jalal International Airport. During the visit, he will hold bilateral meetings to review the status of economic cooperation and development partnership initiatives between the countries. Top Indian industrialists are also accompanying the minister on this visit. Jaitley is scheduled to leave for India on the 5th of October. Now to Hyderabad, where incessant rains in the last 24 hours have claimed the lives of 3 people. A 4-month-old boy and his father were among 3 persons killed in rain-related incidents in the city, lashed by heavy rain from Monday evening. All schools and colleges remained shut on Tuesday as more downpour was expected in the next 48 hours. The heavy rain led to inundation in low-lying areas of the city. Water entered several homes, making life difficult for residents. Authorities say that relief operations were underway across the city with efforts to pump out accumulated water in residential localities and roads. The GHMC has also advised people not to stay in buildings which are in a dilapidated condition. According to the Indian Met Department, 82.6 mm of rain was recorded in Hyderabad from 8:30 am yesterday to 8:30 am today.
Lashed Hyderabad, leading to waterlogging and traffic jams across the city. Drains are overflowing.
Let's now get you some more news and updates from across the country in Nationwide. Independent Jammu and Kashmir MLA Sheikh Abdul Rashid appeared before the National Investigation Agency on Tuesday. He was summoned for questioning in connection with a case related to the funding of terror activities in Kashmir. Popularly known as Engineer Rashid, the MLA from Langate in North Kashmir is the first mainstream politician to be summoned by the NIA. The Supreme Court will hear a petition filed by Rohingya Muslims challenging the government's stand to deport them back to Myanmar on October 13th. The top court said it will hear the arguments only on the points of law and ask the parties to desist from advancing emotional arguments as the matter concerned humanitarian causes, which needs to be heard with mutual respect. The Supreme Court said on Tuesday that it would examine as to whether the Kerala High Court can annul the marriage of a Muslim man with a Hindu woman who converted to Islam before tying the nuptial knot. It said it would exercise its power under the writ jurisdiction in the case. The court will hear the fresh plea of Sharif Jahan, the man seeking recall of the SC's earlier order on October 9th. BJP Chief Amit Shah on Tuesday announced a Padayatra in all state capitals against CPIM's alleged targeting of his party workers. Inaugurating the Jan Raksha Yatra led by Kerala BJP President Kummanam Rajashekaran, Shah also questioned Kerala Chief Minister Pinarayi Vijayan over the political violence in the state. He also hit out at human rights activists for their silence on the political violence allegedly unleashed by CPIM workers against the BJP and RSS workers in Kerala. Well, it's time for a short break now, but news and updates will continue on the other side. Stay tuned. We'll be right back.
Jade was popular during Mughal era and gained prominence during Akbar's rule in 15th and 16th century. It came all the way from Iran and Central Asia in attractive colors. The royalty had a unique use for it, since jade changed color when it came in contact with arsenic. They started utensils like plates, jars, bowls, and even hookah with it, and thereby avoided getting poisoned by rivals.
The story we thought we knew. The story of magnificence. The story of bloody battles. Of those who ruled and those who left their footprints. The story charting the course of our past. Talking History on Rajya Sabha TV.
The sacred relics of Buddha were unearthed in Piprava in Uttar Pradesh. Buddhist monks from all over the world visit the National Museum to pay their respects. These charred bone fragments of Buddha are housed in the gold canopy gifted by the royal family of Thailand.
Welcome back. You're watching Rajya Sabha Television. Well, investigations continue in Las Vegas' mass shooting in which 59 people were killed by a gunman who targeted fans attending a music festival on Sunday. While the Islamic State claimed the attack, investigators found no link to international terrorism. President Donald Trump will visit Las Vegas on Wednesday to meet families of the victims of the deadliest shooting in modern US history.
Candlelight vigils were held across Las Vegas on Monday, a day after a gunman opened fire on a country music concert, killing at least 59 people and injuring over 550 people. In the deadliest mass shooting in US history, 64-year-old Nevada resident Stephen Paddock opened fire at 22,000 fans attending a concert featuring top country artists on Sunday night. Paddock opened fire from the 32nd floor of a hotel casino next to the concert venue before killing himself.
It's a shame that a tragedy like this has to be the reason to bring people together. But whatever the reason is, and people are coming together, you know, I'm there, I want to support.
It was just rough for the whole community to see something happen in our backyard, so close to home, less than 10 miles away from where we live and where we go to parks and local grocery stores. It's just unimaginable.
I don't know, we should learn something from this and just like I said, come together and just be all on one accord.
It was tragic. I mean, I wasn't too far from the scene, and just to know that just a couple blocks from me and it was happening, it was very tragic.
As police investigations continue to ascertain the reason behind Paddock's motives, his neighbors described him as a very private and quiet person. Paddock lived in Nevada retirement community in Mesquite, about an hour's drive from the Las Vegas Strip, and had no record of any mental illness.
Understanding was he was very quiet and kept to himself. Not sure about the two next door neighbors, how well they knew him.
We haven't had any traffic stops with him. We haven't had any arrests, any kind of contact whatsoever.
23 guns were found in the hotel room of Mandalay Bay, where Paddock killed himself. The police found another 19 firearms at Paddock's home, about 145 kilometers northeast of Las Vegas.
Metro and its partners have executed a search warrant at the home of Stephen Craig Paddock in Mesquite, Nevada. Detectives are combing through evidence to uncover the motive behind the shooting and any other pertinent information that will help shed light on this horrible event. We have recovered 23 firearms at Mandalay Bay and 19 firearms at his home in Mesquite.
The police has also ruled out involvement of a 62-year-old Australian woman, Marilou Danley, with Stephen Paddock. Danley was initially said to be a person of interest, but was confirmed to be out of the country at the time of shooting. Bureau Report, Rajya Sabha TV.
Another international news now. Large numbers of Catalans observed a general strike across various cities of Spain to condemn police violence at Sunday's referendum on independence. At least 893 people and 33 police officers were reported to have been hurt on Sunday after riot police stormed polling stations, dragging out voters and firing rubber bullets into crowds. On Tuesday, schools and universities were shut across Barcelona and Madrid, and unions reported that most small businesses were closed. In Barcelona, municipal police said about 15,000 people had stopped traffic. Football team FC Barcelona also took part in the strike by closing its headquarters. Analysts say this is Madrid's worst political crisis in decades. Spain Prime Minister Mariano Rajoy held emergency talks on Monday after Catalan leader Carles Puigdemont declared that Catalonia had won the right to an independent state. The European Parliament will hold a special debate on Wednesday on the issue.
I think we cannot say that yesterday there was a referendum to freely decide. But what we need today is to start immediately political negotiations to have a real binding referendum. Because what we saw yesterday in the street of Catalonia is that there are lots of people, hundreds of thousands of people that want to decide.
Well, here's a roundup now of some other international news in Global Buzz. Pakistan's former Prime Minister Nawaz Sharif was re-elected president of the country's ruling party, the Pakistan Muslim League. His re-election came after the Pakistani parliament approved a bill allowing officials disqualified by courts to hold party offices yesterday. Prime Minister Rami al-Hamdallah chaired his first meeting of the Palestinian cabinet in Gaza in a move towards reconciliation between mainstream Fatah party and Islamist group Hamas. Hamas, considered a terrorist group by Israel and the West, last month disbanded its Gaza shadow government after Egypt, Saudi Arabia and the United Arab Emirates imposed an economic boycott on its main donor, Qatar. The captain of the Malaysian Airlines aircraft that vanished somewhere in the southern Indian Ocean with 239 people on board had flown a route on his home flight simulator 6 weeks earlier that was initially similar to the one actually taken. The details were contained in a 440-page final report by the Australian Transport Safety Bureau on the successful search for flight MH370. Moving on to some sports news now. For the first time, India will be hosting the FIFA Under-17 World Cup starting from Friday. Making a comeback to international football after 57 years, India will join 23 top footballing nations at the biggest stage in youth football. Ahead of the event, Sports Minister Rajya Singh Rathore wished the Indian team all the best. Host India, who are placed in Group A, will open their campaign against the USA on October 6th, followed by Colombia on October 9th and Ghana on October 12th. A huge round of applause.
applause, ladies and gentlemen, once again for these bright and shining.
You may have got an entry because you're a host nation, but that doesn't deter you from surprising many accomplished teams by your level of performance and your ability to come together and play. You don't play for Manipur, you don't play for Goa or Bengal or any other state. It's very essential that you understand that you play for India.
Well, here's a roundup now, some other sports news in Sports Beat. India have remained static at number 4 position but gained 3 significant points to reach 116 in the ICC Women's Team rankings. The Indian Women's Team, which had reached the final of the ICC Women's World Cup in July, has closed in the gap to third placed New Zealand. The table is headed by England, who have dethroned Australia from the top position. Indian captain Mithali Raj said her team is aiming to climb up to number 3 position. Canadian tennis player Milos Raonic saw off his first round challenge, meeting Serbia's Viktor Trojki at the Japan Open in Tokyo. The world number 12 and tournament third seed will now meet Yuichi Sugita of Japan in round 2. Frenchman and world number 30 Richard Gasquet also disposed of tournament 6th seed American Sam Querrey. He will now face Yen Chun Lu of Taiwan. World 100-meter champion Justin Gatlin is not one of the 10 male nominees for the IAF 2017 World Athlete of the Year. It is the first time since 2004 that the world champion has not been shortlisted for the title. 35-year-old Gatlin beat Jamaican sprint great Usain Bolt into third to win gold in London in August. Britain's Mo Farah is on the list after retaining the 10,000 meters. Well, that's it on this newscast. Good night.